Your English teacher has assigned you to write an analysis paper. What do? First of all, what is an analysis paper? In English class, it's an essay that explores a work of literature in depth and helps explain something specific about that work. Sometimes you do library research for a paper like this, and sometimes you don't. Ultimately, it shows how the literary elements work together to create the author's meaning. A literary analysis paper can take many forms, but it should never read like a plot summary. If your essay is full of summary, you've got problems. Summarizing too much will mean that your essay is only making shallow observations about the story and contains very little concrete analysis. Learning how to analyze literature is the most important way that you can improve your essays. Here's an easy way to think about the differences between summary and analysis. When you're summarizing, you're thinking like a reporter on the evening news. But when you're analyzing, you're thinking like a trial lawyer. A news reporter wants to deliver the facts of an event and give a quick overview of what has happened. But a lawyer digs much deeper, examining people's motives, and will try to explain how the evidence in the case makes someone guilty or innocent, using those facts to support his argument. While a reporter tells us who, what, when, and where, a lawyer tells us how and why. Summary gives an overview of the story and the characters without going into detail about the meaning of the work or about its literary aspects. Think of it this way. Summary gives a bird's eye view of a work, but analysis puts the work under a microscope. A poorly written paper will be full of paragraphs summarizing the plot and the characters, but don't say anything meaningful that helps people understand the story on a much deeper level. With that being said, there is a place for summary in a paper, but you have to make sure that you use it in the right way. For example, you can summarize a certain scene in a story to help set up the analytical claims that you're going to be making about it. Here are some more ways to think about the differences between summary and analysis. Summary looks at the whole. Analysis looks at how the parts function together. Summary tells us what something is. Analysis makes a statement about what something does. Summary is a presentation of only the facts. Analysis uses the facts to support opinions or observations of your take on the work. Summary reviews what is in the work, like play-by-play of a football game. Analysis evaluates what is in the work, like Monday morning quarterback. Summary mentions details that are obvious and apparent on the surface. Analysis takes the author, time period, and the subject matter into consideration to draw conclusions about the literary work. So how do you put all this summary and analysis business to work? A smart way to begin is to do an exercise called free writing. Sit down and just write the first thing that comes to mind about what you've read, and then keep writing. You can even set a timer and challenge yourself to write as much as you can during that time. Stumped about what to write? Write anything that you know about the work, anything that stands out in your memory, or anything that you found interesting. Think of it as freestyling. Don't censor yourself and don't worry about how it sounds, because the material that you write during this exercise will probably not even end up in your final essay. Instead, free writing helps you to get your thoughts straight about what you've read and to think of new ideas that you can expand upon in your paper. Many students tend to dive right into that first draft of an essay, which is mostly plot summary and very little analysis. When you free write, it gets that awful plot summary out of your system and frees you up to write hard-hitting analysis. Now look back at the notes you took while you were reading. Were there patterns that you noticed, or perhaps a recurring theme? Did one of the minor characters in particular interest you? Things like this could be great essay topics. And if you've been marking passages in the book, it's easy to go back and find evidence to support your points. If you're still not sure of an essay topic, here are some questions that you can ask yourself to uncover new ideas about the work. It would even help to jot down answers to these questions as part of your prep work. Who is the main character? Does the character change during the course of the story? Do you feel sympathetic towards the main character? And what sort of person is he or she? Why are the minor characters there? Are any of them foils to major characters? Are the names of the characters significant? Can you see a pattern in the way the plot is constructed? Does the author use flashbacks? And if so, why? Does surprise play an important role in the plot? Is anything about the work ironic? Consider verbal ironies as well as ironic situations. How does imagery function? Are there repeated images or concepts? Do any of these images have symbolic meaning? What is the setting, the time period, and the location? Could it have been set in a different place and time just as well? Is the mood or the atmosphere important? If so, try to describe it. How does the author create this mood? Consider the point of view. Who is the narrator? And is the narrator reliable? What would be gained or lost if the point of view were different, say told by a different character, or if it were told in the first person? Does the author's style affect your response to your understanding of the work? If so, how would you describe the style? Is the sentence construction simple or elaborate? Are the words familiar or fancy? Does the style create a mood? How does the title relate to the work? Does it give a clue about the meaning? And what is the theme? Can you state it in a single sentence? Obviously, there are many things to consider when you're writing about literature. Your answers to any of these questions would be a good starting point for an analytical essay. Find a topic that is interesting to your readers, but more importantly, interesting to you. Remember that you're not just writing about a piece of literature, you're analyzing it. Analyzing means that you're looking at how all the parts work together to create the whole. Think back to that list of questions. As you find the answers to them, you're analyzing how the literary aspects work together to reveal or to enhance the meaning of the work. Analyzing, it's all about finding answers and ultimately arriving at a better understanding of a work of literature.